Deal flow, how do you get it? You pick up the fucking phone. How do you get the fucking money? You pick up the fucking phone. That's not going to change.
So is it really comes down to just cold calling? That's what I'm going to talk about today. Just stick with me for a few more minutes. And as someone who went to the castle a few years ago, and this is what I'm doing full time right now, I'm going to tell you, his cold call is what you really need in order to go out there and buy companies. So let's get to it. So hey guys, my name is Mohan Pober, and if you don't know me yet, I'm an investor, I'm a businessman. I went to the castle many years ago, and right now I'm documenting my journey, the process of going out there and buy existing established businesses. One of my best successful deal was an app company that I bought. I turned it around to become one of the top 100 apps in the App Store in more than 100 countries. But forget about me, I worked with few people over the last kind of like few months or short years. And some of my students even bought 1, 2, 3 businesses in less than a year. And I'm talking about businesses doing at least $1 million a year in sales. Now, the beauty is that because those businesses doing at least $1 million a year in sales, they have someone who's operating the day-to-day of those businesses for them. And they didn't need to use their own money to buy those businesses, because they go out there to financial institutions and they leverage the business assets in order to buy that business. So it's pretty cool. That's basically what my channel is all about. So definitely check it out if you didn't yet. But today I want to talk about something very specific in the process of buying businesses, and really, I guess, give you some of my thoughts and my experience, at least in the last few years, and what's working for me right now in terms of buying businesses and reaching out to motivated sellers. I know Dan is talking a lot about cold calling businesses, so I want to share with you kind of like my experience with that, and if I think or don't think that that's the best way for you to go. So the real question is, does cold calling companies works, right? Can you actually cold call companies every day and find a business to buy that way? So in short, the answer is yes, but is it the most productive way to go? I don't think so. And here's the problem. Let me get with you into a little bit specific details, right? So, and let's pick a specific sector. Let's say Dan is talking a lot about healthcare and telecommunication, which I definitely support. I think healthcare and telecommunication is basically tech. Every tech company that's obviously probably the most growing industry out there right now. But at the same time, I got to tell you, that's kind of like my focus right now, but it's brutal, right? So be aware of that. But anyway, let's go back to the way to find those businesses. So let's focus on tech. According to gettogrowth.com, there are 100 million startups opening each year, right? 100 million startups opening each year. And I'm not even talking about existing businesses who already exist, operate, and that's basically our target, that there are obviously much more than 100 million of those businesses, right? So there are 100 million businesses every year. Then there are probably hundreds of millions of businesses every year that already operates. I'm talking about in the kind of like the big countries out there, right? So I'm not talking about, those stats are not like counting India or African countries or stuff like that. So to keep math simple, let's just pick a random number, a round number. Let's say we have 200 million companies that we can potentially get in touch with to figure out if they're a legit, I guess, target for us to buy, right? So let's pick a number of 200 million. Now, what it means if you're doing cold calls, right? And I just wrote some numbers. So let's say how many calls you think you can do each day. If you're really productive, if you're doing it a lot, you can do 100 calls a day, and I'm just putting in 100 to make it round and easy for us to do the math. But if you can do 100 cold calls a day, you're very productive, right? We all agree on that. Now, let's say how many days you work a week. Let's say you work 6 days a week, you put all your time into cold calls, right? Let's say you take 1 day off to relax a little bit from all the calls. It means that you can do 600 calls a week. It means that you can do 2,400 calls a month. And it means that you can do 28,800 calls a year. So in 1 year, you can do less than 30,000 calls, right? Now remember our number, we have 200 million companies at least to focus on, and I'm just talking about the tech industry. Now, if you'll do the calculation, and again, I'm putting it in, I'm exaggerating everything just to show you on how you then can do things better, right? So if you do things the way we just talked about, if you calculate it, it will take you 3,571 years to call all of those startups, and I guess assuming we only have 200 million companies, right? So almost 4,000 years to cold call all your potential acquisitions target. Is it possible? I don't know. I don't know people yet who live that much, unless you're like an AI robot, artificial intelligent robot, and then you can, I guess, cold call forever. I don't know. So is cold call the answer? I don't think so, unless you have a very strict system to filter those companies before you find them. And I just wanted to exaggerate those stats with you to show you what's going to happen if you don't going to follow a system that's actually productive. If you're just going to be like, okay, my niche is healthcare, I'm just going to call everyone, guys, you're not going to find a deal forever. I mean, maybe if you're lucky, right? You got to be more strict with your process and strict with your systems. Otherwise, I see people who try to call companies just because they got a list from Yellow Pages or whatever the version of Yellow Pages is right now, and they cold call everyone. And it's just so frustrating to see that people waste so much time because they're just not thinking logically on what they need to do. And only when you see those numbers, you understand that cold calling without a system beforehand just makes no freaking sense, right? So that's the first thing. Now, especially nowadays in 2018, I mean, there are such great tools out there. Just to give you one example, there's a site called Hoovers by Dan and Bedstreet, or however you pronounce it. So sites like that can give you so much more data on each companies. So that's just one filter to give you an example. There are many filters you want to go through while you're looking for those businesses, but Hoovers is just one example where you want to go through and potentially check each company that you want to cold call or find a different way to get in touch with. Find out and make sure if they're actually in your ideal target and an ideal business that you want to buy. And that's something that you got to think beforehand. If you didn't build yourself some kind of a vision and a goal of a business that you want to buy based on your goals, I mean, you're just wasting time, because the last thing you want to do, trust me, and many people get in touch with me when they bought businesses that are not even for them. I mean, they bought businesses, they paid small fortune from their own money, which is the first mistake. And then they found out that after they own the business, they're like, they think, oh my God, I'm so happy, now I should be a billionaire. No, I just bought a business. But that's so not the case. The last thing you want to do is buy a shitty business. And that happens to so many people who reach out to me. They listen to people out there who just tell them, yeah, just do the first deal as soon as possible. And they do whatever they can to do the first deal. I mean, and I admire the fact that they want to take action and obviously close deals. But the last thing you want to do is, like some of those people who reach out to me, is they buy businesses, then they find out that those businesses losing money. And they didn't know that because they didn't know how to even find out if the business is losing money, because their board members or dream team didn't help them in that case. And they didn't know even if their offer that they're making is good, because they just said, hey, okay, I'll make an offer for 3 to 4 times, 5 times EBITDA, right? Or free cash flow of multiples. And they found out that they bought a business after they paid like $75,000, $100,000 of their own pocket. And then they also need to pay monthly to the seller as part of the seller financing. Plus, the business is losing money. So if they want to even continue to trade that business, they got to bring in more money from home just to keep that business alive. And you think you have money to take home for yourself or pay someone else a salary to do the day-to-day? No. I mean, that's why I'm telling you, you got to be systematic and have a process for you to follow and make sure that you know before you even bought the business, how can you make things in the most productive way towards you reaching your goals. And everyone got their own different goals. Some people want to buy business to work in it because they're passionate about the creative side of things, of running a business. Some people are just deal junkies. For me, I don't really care. Like, I'm trying to focus more on tech right now, but I don't care if you're going to give me good opportunity for a good deal in different industries. I want to do those deals. But I think as a general rule, it's going to work more for your benefit to at least begin with, focus on one industry, right? At least build a name for you in one industry to begin with. And then if you have a few deals that are coming to you every now and then from different industries, why not, right? I mean, I won't say no for a good deal in a different industry. So remember, you gotta have a way to filter through systems, through companies, and use leverage. You gotta use OPT, other people time. Obviously, you'll then want to use other people money, OPM, to buy those businesses. But to begin with, you want to use OPT. You want to find ways, ideally, to even outsource some of those deal origination methods. Because doing cold calls for 4,000 years in order to buy potentially one business in those 4,000 years, trust me, that's not going to be easy for you. Now in 2018, you got to find a way to streamline the process and make things easier for you. And when you have the right process, I mean, you can get results. And some of my students, they were able to buy 1, 2, 3 businesses in less than a year. I have someone who bought more than 30, who did more than 30 deals in few short years and raise more than 8 figures in capital of OPM, other people money, to do that. So he didn't need to use his own money. So that's what's possible when you know how to filter through deals really, really fast. Otherwise, you'll just spend a lot of your time. And there's nothing wrong with cold calling companies. I think, especially to begin with, in order to, I guess, get let's say cold calling companies is better than doing nothing, right? I definitely agree with that, and I think the way that Dan is teaching that is just, it's incredible, because many people who come to him are just scared to even do anything. So I think doing calls is obviously better than doing nothing. But then right now in 2018, figure out what's working now, not what didn't work 20, 30 years ago, and use ways to leverage and systemize things using the online world and the internet. And when you're able to do that, you'll just be able to do deals faster and progress much faster. So that's it for today's video. Check the links below this video for more free training from me on the process of kind of like A to Z process of how some of my students bought businesses and used OPM and got other people to operate the day-to-day, professional managers to operate the day-to-day. That's pretty much it. Yeah, just see the links in the description below and get in touch. And I really hope that you enjoyed it, guys, and got some value. If you did, let me know in the comments below. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon.